back to the App Section, the show where we talk about pop culture, music, and fashion. I'm your host, Mia, and today we are talking about everything Coachella. Coachella Weekend 1 just finished out, and we got a lot of coffee because tea is too not even strong enough of a word. First of all, we had Manon walking around the festival while her former group, Cat's Eye, was on stage, and my heart really breaks for Manon because a lot of people have talked about how excited she was to go and perform at Coachella, and obviously she's now kind of missed out on that opportunity. And it seems more and more that she will not be rejoining Cat's Eye. And I'm so upset about what's happening with Cat's Eye because they debuted and everyone could see how much potential that they had with Touch, with the Gap ad, with their looks. They even won, I believe, like the Best New Artist Award at the VMAs. They had so much potential. And somehow, despite the fact that they've gotten a bigger and bigger budget and more attention, they seem to be declining in quality on their music, on their clothes, on just in general. And I don't know if they can really recover from this at this point because everyone heard the leak for Pinkies Up and the girls were not feeling it. I will tell you, though, that I saw a report that it performed live at the festival and it seemed to be received better there. We'll have to see how it's doing on streaming services, but I am a little scared for Cat's Eye because between losing Manon and just the more and more songs that don't seem to be very good, pop culture only holds attention for so long. If you're not putting out stuff that is good, they're going to start losing their relevancy and eventually kind of, cease to exist, or not cease to exist, but it kind of just seems that they're going to fade into the background and all of this initial star power that they had is going to go to waste. And again, I just feel really bad because there's so many talented girls in the group between Laura, between Megan, they're all super talented. And it's so sad to see all of that get funneled into Pinkies Up and Gnarly and all these other crappy songs. Oh, after the festival as well, we got our first scandal, or like not really our first scandal, but we'll talk about the other one in a little bit. But Leah Kate, one of the breakout stars from Love Island, got herself into some hot water with a influencer slash self-proclaimed Nepo baby named Daphne Blunt, who came online and basically accused Leah of being rude and using her security for like not good. She also kind of said that having security was obnoxious and then said that Leah's security had her skip the line for the bathroom and then shine the light in a whole bunch of people's eyes, and that Leah was just not like a good person to. I don't think she actually met her, but it was more of be in her presence. She didn't have a good first impression of Leah. As someone who's met Leah, actually, by the way, she was so sweet, so bubbly, like exactly how she is, and everything that you see was the exact vibe that I got from Leah. So I have a hard time believing that this is true, and I'm not saying Daphne is lying. You know what I mean? Like people could be covering this up for Leah, but I personally am having a hard time believing it. You don't get many rumors and reports of Leah Kate being a not genuine person. Leah did come back online, however, and said, number one, that these claims weren't true. She said that the security was using their flashlights to shine on the floor for her because it was dark and she was drunk, as well as she only had one person with her as opposed to the four that the girl had claimed. And most importantly, she kind of pointed out, she's like, having security isn't obnoxious. Leah said it wasn't even for her safety. It was for the fact that last year she went to Coachella and people kind of had this very entitled feeling to touch her and touch her boyfriend Miguel. And so this was kind of more so to keep handsy people away. It's very funny though, because Daphne's kind of trying to backtrack. She was like, I didn't call your security obnoxious. Girl, roll the clip because you literally were like, people who didn't need to have security at Coachella had security, and that was so obnoxious. Like, I've literally been robbed and I don't have security, so you don't need security. And then immediately after saying that, she was like this girl Leah Kate, she had security do, and then explain the whole bathroom incident. So if you weren't calling her security obnoxious, why did you choose to put those two statements together? And again, maybe that's not what you meant, but girl, it is basically what you said. And there was another thing where she came on and was like, her responding in the comments section is so rude and obnoxious, just like she was at the festival, but then proceeded to like also leave a comment somewhere about the same length as Leah's. So is it rude or not? But it does kind of bring up a question too of like concert etiquette is getting increasingly worse. And as someone who really enjoys live music performances, that's really heartbreaking. I think there used to be more camaraderie within going to concerts, especially because, concert tickets are very expensive. And So the people who are spending this money are hopefully big fans, and you get to really enjoy this experience together of enjoying someone's music who you all, I don't want to say enjoy, I just used that word 3 times, but whose music you all love. And I've been to so many concerts, and there's just really cute moments of, even before an artist gets on stage, a lot of times they'll play music before the concert starts and everyone is like singing along, or even the infamous, it's basic, but it's always so heart touching when everyone takes their flashlights out when it's a slower or more heartfelt song. But lately, there's a lot of people talking about how at concerts, and especially at this music festival, there was a lot of shoving through the crowds with no excuse me's. And people were very rude if you tried to get past them at all. And I get it. I've been to a music festival before. If you've secured a good spot and someone's trying to get in front of you after you've been there for like 2, 4, some people wait there sometimes for like 6 hours if it's really someone they love, I get why you're a little wary to let this person through, but people were saying it was to the point of almost a safety concern of if you got separated from your friends, like, you're done. You can't find them again because no one's going to let you through the crowd to get back to them. And this is even a bigger issue because if you've ever been to a music festival, you got no cell service. There's too many people in the area for you to be able to just call or text your friends. So this rudeness is getting to a point where it's like, okay, guys, we're doing too much. Like, let the people get to their friends. Speaking of concert etiquette, which is going to be my hot take on this, I mentioned a previous scandal, which was Miss Sabrina Carpenter had gotten herself into some hot water for an incident around it wasn't yodeling, but I don't know what it was called, but from her perspective, what she perceived as yodeling at her show. I was just informed it is called Zigruta. But essentially what happened is during Sabrina's set, at a certain point, she's testing out her keyboard because she had mentioned at a previous show her keyboard hadn't been working. It is very quiet in the crowd and on stage. She's not performing, she's not singing yet. And someone proceeds to yell Zigruta, to which Sabrina responds in what was perceived as a poor manner. Essentially, she was like, "What are you doing?" And the person was like, "This is my culture." And she was like, actually, she said, "I don't like it," before she said, "This is my culture." And then after "This is my culture," Sabrina was like, "What is this? Burning Man? This is weird." And everyone took that "this is weird" comment, and the dogs smelled blood, like they were unleashed. Now, for some context, I feel like that might be necessary to the situation before we all go and rip Miss Sabrina to shreds. First of all, in terms of concert etiquette, I understand you're really excited to see someone who you've like saved up so much money to see, someone who you've maybe followed for a really long time. I myself am a huge fan of Sabrina Carpenter. I've been following her since her Girl Meets World days. But sometimes, especially when there's this like quiet over the audience, I don't know if shouting things, anything, is the best form of concert etiquette. So I can understand why Sabrina was like, "I don't like it because you're kind of interrupting my set right now to yell things." And unfortunately, I mean, not to be rude, but like, nobody came to see you, Otis. They came to see me. And I understand that, as well as the fact that the sound was unfamiliar to her. And I myself had never heard a sound like that. And there's this thing that goes on sometimes where we expect people to just know everything, and how dare you not know X, Y, and Z? Like, how dare she not know Zigruta? And how dare she not like correct herself after it was said, "This is my culture"? But if you're Sabrina Carpenter, like, let's really think for a minute. You're on the stage, you're testing the piano. All of a sudden, you hear an unfamiliar noise coming at you from the crowd, and you're like, "What's going on?" She called it yodeling. Again, what else was she supposed to call it? She didn't know what it was. She's also probably up there 2 earpieces in, maybe 30, 40 feet away. And I understand, like, you, at some points, the girl yelling to her, it's clear Sabrina can hear her. But I also wouldn't be surprised if she had missed when the girl said, "This is my culture," because again, 30, 40 feet away, probably with earpieces in, focused on doing her set. So there's a lot of assumption that Sabrina even heard her clearly. Someone else pointed out also this came after "Please, Please, Please," which there's a lyric in "Please, Please, Please" that says, "It's just your culture." And it's possible maybe she thought this person was doing like a play on her words. So I feel like there has to be grace here. And there's just kind of this repeated thing of like, if celebrities or anybody in the public eye has a small misstep, it sharks to blood. Like, it's crazy. And even though Sabrina has offered an apology and has even said she now encourages it at her concert, rectifying her mistake, there are some people who still consider this like an unforgivable incident. And I really think as the public, we need to work on seeing people in the public eye as humans, as people. Like, if you've ever made a mistake if you've ever made a mistake in your life, please leave room for other people to make mistakes in their lives as well. But overall, Sabrina Carpenter had a amazing isn't even spectacular performance. That is the word I want to use for it, because she had 5 costumes and like a series of sets, all with different themes and stories. She had references to Flashdance, to Dirty Dancing, to the Copacabana. She did another little play on her song Feather. If you saw her Coachella set from last year, she did Feather with Love Fool, which stays in my mind. She needs to release that on Spotify. And then this year she did Feather meets Copacabana, where she had a little verse created for her being like, Sabrina at Coachella. I'm not singing it right, but you get the point. And there was just such a cohesive storyline throughout it. Like, this will be going down in history. This was such an iconic performance. Even from the jump, she's just such a wonderful performer. The little hop on the stars and they lit up. If you haven't seen her performance, I 100% recommend going to go see it, because it was unforgettable. So I was able to bootleg all 3 of the Coachella performances. Thank you to those people who posted 3 parts on TikTok, which was the only place I could find them. There was nowhere on YouTube. So I did watch Sabrina's set, Karol G's set, and Justin's set. Karol G also had just a mind-blowing performance. My Spanish is crap. Like, I probably couldn't understand a sentence or 2 in her performance. I didn't care at all. Her performance was stellar with the backup dancers. Again, she had such an interesting story. If you watch the performance, it starts off with like this projection on a wall telling this whole tale before Karol G comes out. She brought out Becky G. Her backup dancers were on 10. Like, they were there to make their check. They knew that this was a Coachella check and they were going to make sure that they earned it. My favorite part out of the performance, however, had to be like I'm always a sucker for a dance in water on the floor where you can splash things and make it look really cool. And she had a section like that, and so good. Also, her costumes were amazing. Some people were very upset that like influencers clearly didn't go to Karol G's set, especially she was the first Latina to headline Coachella. However, I will say this. On one hand, those influencers, dumb as because you missed the performance of a lifetime. On the flip side, I also understand slightly the perspective of like, Karol G is someone who I don't think has like the largest American audience. I was told that she has a very big international name, but she's still kind of making her way in America. And so her music isn't as well known or as popular to a lot of American citizens. And so I understand why some of those people didn't really want to go, because sometimes a concert can be hard to enjoy if you don't really know the music or you don't really enjoy the lyrics. But that is only if you're dealing with someone who is an artist and not a performer. And Karol G is 100% a performer. They missed out on such a good show because of that. But also, it was following Justin Bieber, who we're going to get to in a minute. So I can understand why it was like, if I didn't know any Justin Bieber songs and I had to go to that set, yeah, I would have been bored. I was bored and I did know the songs. So, well, again, we're getting there. But I do think it's a weird thing to kind of police where these influencers went at Coachella. And again, I understand both sides. First Latina headliner, why not go support her? But also, it's their trip. It's their Coachella. Let them do what they want at the end of the day. On to Mr. Justin Bieber and his very controversial performance. So I will say I have many mixed feelings about this performance. From a personal standpoint, I will say I didn't enjoy it. I'm sorry. I thought it was boring, especially after watching Sabrina's performance. It was underwhelming, it was underwhelming for any performance, but especially for a Coachella performance, that's a whole new level of underwhelming. And I think where a lot of my criticism in here comes in is that someone pointed out that Coachella has essentially become like the Super Bowl of performance. And that was like high school football game performance with a bigger budget. Because he didn't do anything. He just walked around and laid down and had some like pretty lights behind him. His set was pretty minimal. And then he did the whole thing where he was like watching memes of himself and doing karaoke to his younger self. And those were very heart-touching moments, don't get me wrong. But also, go girl, give us nothing. Like, there was nothing there. And I think it's created such an interesting discourse as well, where people are like, well, he has the right to do this. He doesn't have to prove anything. I'm sorry, did y'all think Beyonce needed to prove something in 2018? No. Did she still give a performance of a lifetime? Yes. Oh, he's healing on the stage. He's healed. He couldn't have healed with some backup dancers? The people who said this might be the best Coachella performance of all time have to be rage baiting or just clinically insane, because you're going to sit there, you're going to watch Sabrina's set, Karol G's set, Beyonce's set, literally any other headliner in the history of Coachella set, and go, this was the best performance of all time. You're delusional, you're a dreamer, you dream a lot. And here's the thing, people are going to call me a hater. Justin Bieber was my first concert ever. I listened to that last album. I liked that last album. That was still a shitty performance. But I also think it calls into question a few different things. So I kind of categorize singers into two different categories. You have artists, which is the broad category. If you are a singer, you are an artist. But there is a subsection category that not everybody makes it into, and that is performer. And that's where I feel like maybe Justin is falling short, is everyone was expecting a performance and they got a concert, I guess would be the better word to say it. And especially in such an age of these big theatrical performances. Again, Lady Gaga's performance last year, Sabrina's this year's, Karol G's. This was not something to bring to the Coachella stage. It had a time and its place, especially if he was intending this to be something for the fans. And Coachella's stage was not that place. Because the other thing about that is a music festival is meant for everybody to enjoy. It's not just his fans sitting in the audience, or should I say super fans. I'm sure most of the people there, if not all of them, were fans of Justin Bieber in some capacity, maybe just not super fans. And I think that's where the big performances come in. As well as, I will say, Coachella has, with those headliners, the number of people in that audience is bonkers. Like, I saw a zoom out of the stage a few times, and it was just a sea of people. Like, I'm sure if you measured it, it'd be like 3 miles back or something of the number of people there. So there's also something to be said about the consideration of the fact that you were performing for a crowd that large. Because what I did see was they also zoomed out of Karol G's set, and Karol G's set was huge. Like, you could see that thing back from 3 miles. And it feels like the very Broadway stage performance thing where they're like, you are not performing necessarily for the people directly in the front row. You are performing for them, to everyone in the nosebleeds who also paid to come and see this performance. And Coachella is not cheap. I understand that a lot of people are thinking, like the majority of the people there are influencers who got flown out. And don't get me wrong, that is a big section of that crowd. But there are also people who paid probably over $10,000 between accommodations, food, and the concert tickets to be there. They didn't get to go for free. And so was that I just spent $10,000 to be here performance? Absolutely not. And on top of that, he was paid, rumored to be, $10 million to be there. Does he think that is a $10 million performance? I hope not. And again, I think it's this thing of like artist versus performer, but I think there's a level of disappointment because I've seen Justin Bieber in show, obviously when he was much, much younger, but everyone knows he is capable of putting on a stellar performance. And so it is a choice not to do that, not give his all to it, in my opinion. That was a half-assed performance, if we're being so real. Like, was it a good show? Yes, it was a terrible performance. The clothing was literally just a hoodie. Again, for Sabrina Carpenter, 5 outfits. Karol G, I think, had at least 3 or 4 that I can remember, and he came in a red hoodie that he probably pulled out of the bottom of his laundry bag. And I will say, art is subjective, of course. If you enjoyed that performance, to each their own. This is my personal opinion and take on it. Some people, again, thought that that was a stellar and great performance. I will say, I didn't think the first thing I saw, of course, was clips of him singing karaoke to his younger self and the reacting of the clips. And I thought that was the entire performance. And after watching it, I almost kind of wish it was. But that part to me was actually kind of funny and very nostalgic and very genuine. And I don't dislike it as much as I thought I was going to before I watched the actual performance. It actually turned out to be my favorite part of it because it was a part of the performance that had actual visuals and production and a story and a meaning as opposed to just walking around the stage in your hoodie. Apparently, this is also the most viewed set in Coachella history. So again, clearly, I guess some people liked it and enjoyed it. I just can't say that I personally was one of them. That's my take on it. I am very excited to see what happens for Coachella weekend 2. I heard Sabrina Carpenter got an additional 10 minutes to her set with rumors of Madonna coming out. And we'll see if maybe Justin Bieber decides to do anything except walk around the stage in his hoodie. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.